Welcome to part 3 of modelling a drift trike in SolidWorks. In this session we're going to go through the design of the saddle. So just to remind everyone, these models are available on GrabCAD, available in basic SolidWorks format and Step, Power Solid and ACES. So this is part 3. We've already covered in the previous two videos the frame and the forks. So today we're going to be taking a look at the saddle, and there's also part 4 coming up, which will be the rear wheels. With the saddle, we actually depart away from the fabrication side of things, and we're going to be using some plastics. So here we're going to need to use things like the draft tools. It's very much a curvy shape, so we're going to use some splines, and we're also going to need to use the shell tool. And I'm also going to show you a little trick which is called the double shell technique. I think you might find this very useful for certain product designs. As usual, I've been searching the web, and although I've not managed to find a 3D model of the saddle that I want to use, I have found some basic dimensional drawings of the saddle that we can buy and use. So there's a couple of things that we want to do here. First off, it's a curvy shape, so we're going to want to use some kind of nice splines to give us our shape. It's got an angled back, so we need to kind of lean this piece back to make it comfortable for the rider. There's some nice filletings, the fillets that are going into the design. But probably what's the most complicated thing on here is where these pockets in the holes through the saddle, the actual plastic doesn't just stop there, it kind of sticks out the back. Now we've all seen this on kind of old school chairs and stuff like that, so how am I going to create those shapes? And that's where we're going to use this double shell technique. So okay, let's go into SolidWorks and model this seat. I'm pretty much starting from scratch with this seat. I've literally just drawn two lines just to give me my depth and half the width for the seat, and then I want to actually create the main curved section. So I'm going to use a spline. Now I always keep my splines as simple as possible, so this was a simple 2-point spline, and then all I want to do is adjust the settings. So I'm going to take the top one here, make it a horizontal relationship, and then play around with my tangency control here till I'm getting something roughly the right shape, something that looks comfortable. Once that's done, we need to extrude this out about 150mm off the back of that drawing. Now that would be then, this is kind of like our internal volume of our seat, but it doesn't look very comfortable. It's very sharp on the sides, so I'm going to level those out a little bit by applying some draft. So we're going to use the normal draft. Okay, picking the bottom face for my neutral plane, clicking the side faces, and then just giving these an angle of 20 degrees. So this now gives me the start of my design. Now I'm going to shape the chair. So if we start a sketch on our main central plane, and I'm going to do a 3-point spline this time, it's only because I know I can't get away with 2 points on this example. So again, adjusting the actual control curvatures, we can get the shape that I want. So I want it to kind of be high at the back, then I want it to come down, and then I want a bit coming up round by the hips again. With this done, we're going to do an extruded cut. This is going to be through all, and we're just keeping an eye on the direction of our cut there. So I want to take the top half of this off. That's okay, and then all I want to do is just round this bottom piece off. So a simple fillet, around 30mm will suffice. And we've got our internal shape. So when I say internal shape, we need to remove all the rest of this material. So if we use the shell tool here, and I'm picking the two faces, and I'm using this option again to shell outwards at 10mm, that means this is going to get bigger, and the shape that we created was the internal shape for the rider to sit on. I have mentioned the double shell technique in this video a couple of times. So what do I mean by that? So we already did one shell here to create as our wall thickness. Now I'm going to do another shell picking the the back faces of our design and make this at 5mm. So that has now given me a lip all the way around my design. So effectively I've shelled the shell. Now this isn't quite ready yet. I need to do those cutaways that we want in as well. So let's roll back in our design. So just grab the rollback bar and move it. And then if I create a couple of pockets here, so I'm using my right hand plane, just sketching a couple of splines, so a single spline, just to make a hole that's going to go in our side of our hip support. And then we can do a cut through all. Now let's use our front plane here to do exactly the same for our break into our backrest. Again, just using a spline, a couple of points, and then manipulating it into the shape that I like. And then finally, another extruded cut all the way through the middle of our design. And again now, if we roll back in our design so that second shell has happened, we'll actually see that it's created pockets around those openings as well. Now, I'm still not finished yet. I still need to put all our fillets and everything else on that. Just kind of blend out the rest of the design. And that's what we'll go into next. So we're going to need to roll back before the shell again. Let's make it comfortable for the rider. Let's put a 10mm radius, and we'll have that going all the way around our leading edge or on our back edge of our saddle. And then obviously those holes that we've put through, they look a bit sharp. So I'm going to put a 5mm fillet on the internal edges of both those holes. And then if we roll forward again so that our shell's happened, then what we can see here is it's created that offset, that nice smooth lip. We've got a 10mm support that's going through both those holes. However, I've just remembered I haven't put in the fixing points. So let's roll right the way back in our design. So these are going to be a couple of pockets to put some screws that bolt them through to our design. So let's go and create those little posts. So I just need a couple of circles, and I do need to remember the dimensions to create these, match these up with the fixing locations that come off the original saddle. A few more dimensions and we should just about be there. So we're going to extrude these out. They only need to be a 10mm pocket, but because this is a injection molded component, I'm going to put some draft on at the same time, just at 15 degrees. So there's our little posts, and here's where the power comes in. So if we roll back our design all the way to the end, and we see we've got an error. Okay, so let's just do a bit of investigation. What's this error here? So have a look. It actually says it can't do it because there's a couple of surfaces and it can't offset. If we look underneath, and it kind of still doesn't make sense, but let's edit that feature and all of a sudden it starts to make sense. So effectively I've left these cups floating in midair. So if I add those faces to the ones that need to be shelled, and then that gets our error done, and we can see we've got those pockets nicely molded into our design. So finishing this off now, just a couple of little fillets just to blend those over. And then we're just going to mirror everything to the other side and we'll have our completed seat. You might want to do some more filleting to finish off your design, but the back of it is definitely broken now. So that was how to model the saddle for the drift trike. If you have any questions, then please email me at stuart.wortley@cadtek.com, or you can place them on our YouTube channel. Thank you. Bye-bye.